Oh, hey, how's it going? Wow, not much left here. Hmm. Well, that's empty, so I think we better wrap up this look at the Nightmare on Elm Street series before I get into any more trouble. Alrighty, so first things first, I realized I got so involved talking about the movie last time in the new Nightmare review that I forgot to pick a chocolate bar. So let's get that out of the way, shall we? It has got to be. Yep, we'll go Baby Ruth again because got to protect the kid and all. Also, I have a ton of Baby Ruths in there, so I kind of need to make excuses. Yeah, well, who am I kidding? You don't need to make excuses for chocolate bars. Anyway, so Freddy versus Jason. It had been roughly almost 10 years since we had last seen Freddy on screen. Um, and this one just came out of left field to me personally. I mean, I knew that there had been rumors for a very long time. I had seen Jason Goes to Hell many, many years before, and of course, everybody knows the big kicker ending to that, where you see Jason's mask on the ground, and then Freddy's glove comes out and grabs it, and you hear him laughing. And everybody's like, oh my god, they're going to do Freddy versus Jason. And it was like so long before we heard anything about that project again. We got Jason X, Jason Goes to Space. And that's not what everyone was waiting for, but okay. Yeah, so it was quite some time before we actually got Freddy versus Jason. And it wasn't that the project was dead. It had just gone through so many permutations over the years. I mean, New Line owned both franchises at that point, so it wasn't a matter of licensing. There was no issues there. It was just a matter of getting a script that everybody was happy with and just kind of figuring out the logistics of it. And, well, we finally got it in, what was it, 2003, I think? 2003, yeah, so it was 9 years after New Nightmare. And, well, we finally got Freddy vs. Jason, two titans of terror duking it out on the big screen for the first and, well, last time. There was talk of doing a second one, but it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen. But, yeah, what a treat. What a treat! So how was it? What was it a treat? Well, let's talk about it. Freddy vs. Jason, wrapping up our look at the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and I guess technically the first Jason movie we've looked at so far. I'm not doing the Friday the 13th movies this year, maybe next year or just as a random thing some other time, but yeah. So let's talk about Freddy vs. Jason today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Cheers. Welcome back. So, kind of interesting. The version of Freddy that we see in this seems to be kind of an amalgamation of the last Freddy we saw in Freddy's Dead and the Freddy we saw in New Nightmare. Because in certain scenes, he looks more like the classic Freddy, with the burns and everything and human eyes and whatnot. But then in other moments, he looks more like the demon Freddy from New Nightmare and has like pointed teeth and demonic eyes and stuff like that, and the facial makeup is different. So it's kind of interesting. I guess you could. I mean, a lot of fans just say it's not canon, done. But here's the thing. Just hear me out here. I don't think it's totally irreconcilable as far as fitting it into the Nightmare canon. I mean, I think it actually does work if you look at it as the eighth Nightmare movie. For the simple fact that, well, number one, it's very faithful to the lore and to the backstory. When Freddy is telling us his origins at the beginning of the movie, and as the other characters are learning about him throughout the rest of the movie, it's very accurate to what we've seen in the previous movies. And the same goes for Jason. I mean, his origin story as discovered and recounted in the movie is very accurate to the origin story of Jason from the Friday the 13th movies. And in fact, I was watching Never Sleep Again, the wonderful 4-hour documentary about the entire Nightmare franchise, and they talk about that quite a bit. Was that number one on their list was they wanted to be faithful to the lore of both characters, and in that, honestly, I think they succeeded quite well. I mean, again, we got to see a little bit more pieces of Freddy's origins before the angry mob of parents burned him and such, and that was cool. I really dug that. I mean, it was great to see a little bit more of that backstory. The other thing is, I mean, it really doesn't conflict with anything that has gone before. You know, I mean, the last we saw, Freddy in Freddy's Dead had been defeated and sent to hell, essentially. In New Nightmare, the demon Freddy had been defeated and sent to hell. In Jason Goes to Hell, Jason had been defeated and sent to hell. It opens up with Freddy saying, "Hey, I met this guy in hell." You know, I mean, it all fits. It actually fits, no matter which sort of way you look at it. The only thing that it seems to discount is Jason X. It just seems to throw that one out the window. But everything up to Jason Goes to Hell seems to be canon as far as this movie is concerned. And then all 7 of the Nightmare movies seem to be canon as far as this movie is concerned. Well, at least, I mean, I guess they don't really touch on the New Nightmare stuff too much, other than the occasional demonic appearance of Freddy. So the basic plot goes like this. Freddy, and this kind of carries on from the events of Freddy's Dead, actually, is Freddy has been forgotten and no longer has any power. Basically, he has been forgotten. Nobody remembers him. Nobody's afraid of him. Thus, because they don't remember him, so he can't get out of hell and get back into Springwood and start killing again. So he needs someone or something to remind the people of Springwood about him. So he basically recruits Jason. He disguises himself in the dream world as Jason's mother, willing Jason back to life so that he will travel to Springwood and start a killing spree there, and then he knows that people will automatically think it's Freddy again. So he sends Jason, because he's kind of his instrument in the real world, to go on a killing spree so that people will remember him, and thus he will have his power again, and he can come back, and he can get into everybody's dreams again, and the party starts all over again. So Freddy resurrects Jason, and Jason heads off to Springwood to, start the killing. Now, speaking of people forgetting about Freddy, meanwhile, back in Springwood, a lot of the kids who are kind of considered high risk for, I guess, remembering or fearing or bringing back Freddy have all been institutionalized. So there's 2 that we focus on, Will and Mark, and they basically become friends, kind of bonded. They both, they know about Freddy and stuff, and they're just kind of looking out for each other. So there's a slumber party with Laurie, who's kind of the virginal heroine of the story, and her friend Gib, and their other friend Kia, and Gib's boyfriend Trey shows up. He's kind of a douchebag, a bit of a misogynistic pig. By the way, the actress who plays Gib is the same actress who was Ginger in Ginger Snaps. Yes, a absolutely amazing werewolf movie. Apparently, I've never actually seen it. I've been meaning to check it out for ages. There is a Scream Factory edition I'd really like to pick up. So anyway, Gib and her boyfriend go off and have their fun, and surprise, surprise, Jason shows up mere moments later and basically just brutalizes Trey in the bed and kind of folds him in half in the bed, and thus the killing spree has begun. So, needless to say, Gib is pretty traumatized by the whole thing. So already, Freddy's plan is succeeding. People are starting to think, oh, maybe it was Freddy. So, one of the characters, Blake, falls asleep and has a nightmare with Freddy in it. But Freddy isn't quite powerful enough to kill him yet. He tries, but he kind of leaps at him in kind of ghost Freddy form, but isn't quite able to get him. So Blake wakes up and and discovers that his dad is beheaded, and then Jason promptly kills him as well. And Freddy's like, oh, okay, I'm not quite strong enough yet, but getting stronger. So he basically just says, well, we'll let Jason have his fun for now. So that carries on for a little bit. And then fast forward a little ways, we're at a rave where basically all the thus far surviving main characters are there, and just a whole bunch of random kids slash potential victims. And so Gib basically falls asleep. She's kind of drinking her problems away. She falls asleep in the middle of the forest, and of course Freddy immediately goes after her. So she's got the dream, she's being chased by him through the dream, and it's a classic Freddy moment. Basically, he's stalking her in the dream. They end up in the boiler room. He's just about to go in for the kill, and then suddenly the machete comes through her chest, and Freddy gets covered in blood in the dream, and he's like, "She's mine!" He's really pissed off because he realizes oh crap, now Jason's on a rampage. I can't flip the off switch. I can't stop him. He's going to take all the victims that should be mine. Because, he wants to, A, have enough power to be able to get into people's dreams and kill them, obviously. But also, we know from past movies, he wants their souls. He is a soul collector. He wants the souls. They add to his power. Their fear and everything. And just it fills him with more dream power so he can do more damage. And Jason is taking that away from him. So that's kind of what sets him off. He's like, crap, I got to figure out a way to stop Jason now, because it's what have I unleashed? He had no idea that, he just knew that he was some kind of, unstoppable killing machine, but he didn't realize just how unstoppable. He was he's supposed to be the good little doggy and do what Freddy tells you, but he's not playing the way he should be. So Freddy basically figures out a plan. All the kids head off to the hospital, and they're going there to load up on Hypnosil, which is the dream suppressant drug. And Freddy realizes that this is an opportunity. So he possesses one of the kids and has them basically dumping all the Hypnosil down the drain. So that's the first thing, is get rid of all the dream suppressant, because dreams are his power. And then, using the same kid, he has a couple of very, very powerful tranquilizers, syringes full of this really powerful tranquilizer. So he's standing there, Jason shows up, he's waiting for Jason to come to him, and then jams both tranquilizers into him. The whole idea is to get him unconscious so he can battle him in the dream world and basically stop him and hopefully kill him, and then he can carry on with his killing spree, right? So he knocks out Jason, but not before Jason takes a swing at the machete and slices the poor possessed kid in half. So, great. So now all our heroes have Jason unconscious. So they're thinking, well, what are we going to do with him? We can't. They figured out what's going on by this point. It's okay, we got Freddy and Jason here to deal with. So we got Jason in the real world, Freddy in the dream world. We're not safe whether we're awake or asleep. So they get the idea to take Jason back to Crystal Lake. And it's well, Springwood is where all of Freddy's power is. Why don't we take Jason back to Crystal Lake? That's where all his power is. So they take him back to Crystal Lake, get him in a truck. They got more tranquilizers so they can keep him under. Meanwhile, Freddy and Jason are duking it out in the dream world. And that's where the real fun begins. Now, this is what we came to see this movie for. And this is where it really does what it says on the tin. We wanted to see these two titans of terror duking it out, WWE style, and that's exactly what we got. So honestly, I don't know why people complain so much about this movie and hate on it so much, because did you really go to a movie called Freddy vs. Jason expecting Shakespeare? Really, there is no way this movie could have been any better than it is, in this reviewer's not-so-humble opinion. They went through 17 different scripts. 17! Until finally they got two writers in who were able to just kind of wipe away the bullshit and say, well, let's just boil this down to its bare basics. We just need enough of a plot that makes sense to get these two guys together and then just have them beat the living tar out of each other for the last 20 minutes of the movie. That's it. That's all we need. This does not need to be complicated, and it isn't. And it as I say, it doesn't need to be. It does exactly what you want it to do. So anyway, Freddy finally has Jason in the dream world. So he just starts having, classic Freddy style fun with him. He's like bouncing Jason around like a pinball in a pinball machine, and just pulling out all the stops. And he's just like, why won't you die? Because he's like, any number of the things that he's done to him should have killed him, but he will not die. And then as soon as he says that, Jason just kind of looks at him and like realizes that, hey, this guy's playing for keeps. So then Jason starts fighting back. But then, just kind of randomly, there's like a broken pipe, stream of water comes down between Jason and Freddy, and Jason won't cross it. And then Freddy just kind of gets that wicked glint in his eye, and he's like, so there is something you're afraid of. And then he just like unleashes just torrential downpour of water, and Jason is literally reduced to a quivering, shaking, terrified child. He's basically down to being like, he's reduced mentally to, he's basically got the mind of a child anyway, right? But he's reduced down to, instead of being his normal powerful self in the dream world, he's reduced down to his child state, like back when he was originally drowned in Crystal Lake. He's that little kid again. And so Freddy just starts messing with him from there. Oh, I should mention, I kind of forgot one part here. Mark, one of the mental institution escapees, is basically the one person to be actually fully, properly killed by Freddy. Everyone else is killed by Jason, or by both of them, kind of. But, yeah, so he basically has a nightmare where he sees his dead brother. And it just kind of escalates from there. And there's any number of things that could have killed him in that dream, but ultimately he just gets kind of slashed to ribbons by Freddy. And then they actually find his body, and then carved into his back is Freddy's back. So that was kind of the moment that Freddy really got his power back and returned. I should mention that Mark's brother was played by Zach Ward, who was, of course, Scut Farkus in A Christmas Story. And he's done a lot of other sort of cult stuff since then. Really, really cool, interesting guy. I always enjoy watching interviews with him. So they finally get Jason back to Crystal Lake. They can't keep him sedated anymore. They're out of tranquilizers. So basically they just have to let him wake up. And here's the problem. They want him to stay asleep so that it'll keep Freddy occupied. That they'll just kind of be duking it out in the dream world. But they can't keep him asleep forever. So he essentially wakes up, and they realize that the only way they're going to manage to defeat the two of them, or get them to defeat each other, is to bring Freddy out into the real world. So I know we've talked about this over the course of it. It's kind of up in the air. Can you really bring Freddy into the real world or not? Well, it depends how you look at it. I think in this case, they've just taken it as read that, yes, you can. You just have to be holding on to him when you wake up. So Laurie basically manages to pull him out of the dream world, and then he's in the real world. And Freddy does not look happy to be there, because he knows that in the real world, he does not have his dream power. He's just a guy with a claw hand, and so that's basically it. However, he's still immortal, which is interesting. So basically, we have these two immortal, unstoppable killing machines. You got Freddy, you got Jason, neither of which can be killed, just beating the living tar out of each other. And honestly, it's freaking blast. What are your problems with this movie? Seriously, you get to see Freddy and Jason beating the tar out of each other. What more do you want? How deep did you expect this to be? It does what it says on the tin. I really don't get the hate for this. Like, it is exactly what this movie should be, and exactly what you should have been expecting. I don't know. I mean, they were true to the lore. They brought them both together in as plausible a way as they possibly could. I mean, come on. I think the whole idea of Freddy using Jason as an instrument to bring himself back is a great idea. It's fine. It works. It's plausible. It gets us into Springwood so we can see Freddy on his home turf doing what he does best. And then it gets us into Crystal Lake so we can see Jason on his home turf doing what he does best. And you get the two of them duking it out. And you know what I love? The final moment in their fight is the most beautiful bit of irony. You have Freddy using Jason's machete to try to kill the hero, and then Freddy gets killed by Jason, who is using Freddy's claws to kill him. So it's like they kill each other with each other's weapons, like signature weapons. I mean, come on. How can you not love the beautiful symmetry of that? You know, it's just I don't get it. It's fun. It's stupid fun. And that's all it ever should have been, and that's all it is. So, I mean, you cannot take these kinds of movies so goddamn seriously, and I think some people really do take them too seriously. I mean, I mentioned throughout the whole thing that I only saw Nightmare 4 in the theater. I completely forgot I saw this one in the theater too. I was actually working in a movie theater at the time when this came out. I was the projectionist / concession help / ticket ripper. And I cleaned up the theaters after shows. I felt like I ran the whole damn theater. Anyway, I got to see free movies. So I went to see Freddy vs. Jason when it came out. And it was around that time also that a friend of mine who also worked there came over, and we marathoned all 7 of the original Nightmare films. We did it in like 2 nights. I think we watched 1, 2, and 3 the first night, and then we watched all the rest the next night, and we watched them again with the commentaries as well. So it was just a crazy 2 nights, and we were both so exhausted by the end of it, but it was a lot of fun. So I can't remember if he had seen Freddy vs. Jason first, or if we had marathoned them first knowing that this was coming out. But anyway, it was all around the same time. So I was quite happy to introduce him to the Nightmare franchise there. And, I mean, I was going in as someone who was intimately familiar with the Nightmare franchise, and was just really excited to be able to see Freddy up on the big screen again. Robert Englund playing Freddy one last time. And, boy, talk about going out with a bang, man. I mean, I think it's a really fun movie, to be honest. Do I think it's high art? Hell no. Do I think it's perfectly adequate for what it always should have been? Absolutely yes. I do not think they could have done it any better, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I've seen, they talk about a lot of the sort of different script ideas they were going through if you watch Never Sleep Again. And honestly, some of them were complete garbage. Like, what they did, I think, works perfectly fine. You know, it does not need to be anything more than that. The bottom line is, you want to see Freddy and Jason fighting each other and have it somewhat plausible as to why they're together and how they're, so I mean, you got Freddy in the dream world dealing with Jason there. You got Jason in the real world dealing with Freddy when he gets pulled out of the dream world. So you get both sides. You get both of their towns, you get both of their, realities and where they are most effective. It's an even, balanced match between the two. I should mention, as to who won, well, obviously it's going to end in a draw, because they're both freaking immortal. How else did you expect it to end? It's not about who wins or loses. I know they tried to make it that with all the sort of lead up to it. The trailer saying, where Laurie says, "Place your bets," and that line is nowhere in the movie. The first time I ever saw something like that, with a line being in the trailer but not being in the movie, was an old 1981 movie from Disney called The Devil and Max Devlin, in which Bill Cosby played the devil, and then Elliot Gould was like this sleazy record exec named Max Devlin, and he makes a deal with the devil to be more successful, basically. It was a comedy. It was very, very tongue-in-cheek, kind of a farce. But the hell scenes were terrifying. But anyway, there was a line in the trailer where Elliot Gould just says, "It's only a movie." And I was watching the movie, waiting for him to say it's only a movie, and he never said that in the whole movie. And I was like, wow, they lied to me in the trailer. But the whole place your bets thing, I mean, that could have been slotted in somewhere, but I guess for whatever reason it wasn't. It's quite a lot of deleted scenes from this. I'm not sure how many of them were filmed because sadly, my Blu-ray, this is the Canadian Blu-ray release, it's bare bones. You know, the transfer is decent, but there's nothing. There's not even the freaking trailer on there. So yeah, I'm hoping to get some kind of deluxe edition at some point. Kind of surprised it wasn't included in the collection, the Nightmare collection, because I mean, New Line owns both of them. There is no reason why they couldn't have included them. I don't know. Anyway, that definitely wraps up the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, because there was only 8 movies. That's all they ever did, just the 8 movies. There was never any other Nightmare on Elm Street movies ever. Alright, they did do the remake in 2010, and I thought I had done a standalone review of that, but apparently I didn't. And I noticed some of you have been trying to find it. It doesn't exist. Where I talked about it was in a Blu-ray update, where I had watched the movie prior to doing the update, so I just kind of gave my brief thoughts on it. I'll likely do like a proper in-depth review like this about it at some point. Don't ask me when. It's not currently planned or scheduled or prepared for. It's just something I will likely do at some point to make this full overview properly complete. But don't bug me about it. It'll happen when it happens. I got plenty of other stuff planned for the rest of Halloween season. Don't worry. I'm going to take good care of you this month. Alrighty. I think that does it for Freddy vs. Jason. Now I can finally get some sleep, but not before picking 2 chocolate bars. Well, first off, I think we need to pick a Butterfinger, because Freddy was basically saying, better not lay a finger on my victims. This is a metaphor for victims, Butterfinger. And then, we'll do a Mr. Big, because Jason is a very big dude with a very big machete. Alrighty, folks, that is it from me to you for now. So special thanks to my Patreon sponsors, especially my 2 highest level sponsors, namely Kyle Pellegrini and Get Your Gorgeous On, the always wonderful e-mag maintained by Michelle O'Toole and Simon Hedger. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, sayonara.